Do the following names mean anything to you? Adam Lanza, Christopher John Mercer, Eric Harris, or Dylan Klebold? If not, what about these words? Sandy Hook Elementary School, Columbine High School, Umpqua Community College in Oregon. If they still don't sound familiar, I'll tell you that they are the shooters and the scenes of the shootings of some of the most recent, most violent school shootings in recent years. In just 3 of those shootings, 51 people were killed, including children and youth. In every one of those cases, and in many other cases of violence, the perpetrator was addicted or obsessed with violent video games. There is a direct link with violence in the media to violence in the real world. In our society, we are living on a constant diet of media violence. Some might even say we are living in a war zone, even those of us who don't go seek it out are affected by it. Televised violence is so prevalent that it is estimated that the average high school student by graduation time has seen 18,000 televised murders. Those in any kind of media industry will tell you that media violence is in no way connected to real-world violence. They are wrong. Here's just a few more statistics. The percentage of violent crimes in America has been about the same for the past 10 years. But violent crimes among youth are on the rise. Of the top video games played by boys, 5 of them are considered violent, with Grand Theft Auto coming in at number 1. For girls, 3 of them are considered violent, with Grand Theft Auto coming in at number 2. For those of you not familiar with the video game Grand Theft Auto, I'll just read you the label. Rated M for mature. Blood and gore, intense violence, strong language, strong sexual content, use of drugs. Players play as hardened criminals and accost innocent civilians using a variety of weapons and even rape. How can these things not affect those that are engaging in them? Don't just take my word for it. Here are some of the things that experts are saying. Dr. Richard B. Klein, at an address at the Tidewater Assembly for Family Life, said, "I am convinced by a vast amount of research that the images, fantasies, and models which we are repeatedly exposed to in advertisements, entertainments, novels, motion pictures, and other works of art can and do affect the self-image, and later the behavior of nearly all young people and adults too." And the the American Academy of Pediatrics warn, exposure to violent media, including video games, can contribute to real-life violent behavior and harm children in other ways. Does violence cause us to be more violent or more aggressive? Studies show that it may not turn the average person into a gun-wielding maniac, but that they do show that it increases aggression in the average person, and that it can be the tipping point for those who are already predisposed to aggression or violence. A study led by Christopher Bennett of the University of Iowa makes this point. They had 47 undergraduates play Mortal Kombat for 15 minutes. They also had the same number of students play nonviolent video games for the same amount of time. Afterward, the team took various measures of arousal, both physical and physiological. It also tested whether the students would behave more aggressively by having them dole out hot sauce to a fellow student who, they were told, did not like spicy food, but had to swallow the sauce. Sure enough, compared with the group that played nonviolent games, those who had played Mortal Kombat were more aggressive across the board. They gave their fellow students significantly bigger portions of the hot sauce. One of the biggest myths concerning media violence is this one: it doesn't affect me. This isn't true. It does affect us as human beings. It psychologically impacts the brain in several ways. First of all, it's addictive. We need more and more of it. Secondly, it's desensitizing. It can destroy our natural sympathy and empathy centers in our brain so that we have less compassion for others and are less concerned with their pain. There are spiritual consequences for media violence as well. Prophets and apostles have been warning of this for over 40 years. In 1971, Elder Marvin J. Ashton said, "A diet of violence or pornography dulls the senses, and future exposures need to be rougher and more extreme. Soon the person is desensitized and is unable to react in a sensitive, caring, responsible manner, especially to those in his own home and family. Good people can become infested with this material, and it can have terrifying, destructive consequences." Also, and for the strength of the Youth Handbook, it specifically states, "Depictions of violence often glamorize vicious behavior. They offend the spirit and make you less able to respond to others in a sensitive, caring way. They contradict the Savior's message of love for one another." Elder Ballard strongly points out, Nephi predicted that in our day Satan would rage in the hearts of the children of men and stir them up to anger against that which is good. Satan's evil use of television contributes to the increased wickedness in our society. Is this issue of violence bigger than us? Is there anything we can do to protect ourselves and our families and our societies? The answer is yes. Elder Ballard gives us great counsel. He says, perhaps the proper response to outrageous behavior is outrage. Or more to the point, the proper response to outrageous television is outrage. I express my own and this church's disappointment, disagreement, and even outrage with television that turns our attention and sometimes our inclinations toward violence. Self-serving greed, profanity, traditional values, and deviance. Elder Ballard goes on to say, we need to keep things that offend and debase out of our homes. We each need to help solve the problem rather than avoid or ignore it. End of quote. Here are 5 concrete ways that we can begin to fight back against the onslaught of violence. Number 1, become educated. Read things based on scientific research rather than opinion. Number 2, monitor the content of the programs your children watch and be vigilant about what kinds of media are being brought into your home. Number 3, limit the amount of time your children spend and yourself on TV and video games. Number 4, maybe the most important one, set a good example. Get these old things out of your own life. Refuse to allow these things into your world. Walk out of a movie if you have to. Put down a book. Turn off the TV. Let your kids see you do it. Number 5, contact organizations and complain. I recently was at a movie with a friend, and she was offended by some of the material in the movie. She immediately walked out and went and complained to the manager of the movie theater, who told her that he took all of her information and sent it on to the producers, and that the more people that do that, the more voices will be heard. Let me repeat Nephi's prediction from almost 3,000 years ago. Keep in mind that he was prophesying about our very day. For behold, at that day, Satan shall rage in the hearts of the children of men and stir them up to anger against that which is good. Let me also add insight from D&C 10:27. And thus he goeth up and down, to and fro on the earth, seeking to destroy the souls of men. He can only destroy us if we let him. Will you commit to do one of these 5 things? Become educated, monitor the content of the media in your home, limit the time on media, set a good example, contact an organization. Can you commit to do one of these things today with your own families in your own homes? We can make a difference in our own homes, families, and society. A poem I like says, all the water in the world, no matter how it tried, could never sink the smallest ship unless it got inside. All the evil of the world and every kind of sin could never damn a human soul unless we let it in. Decide today to get rid of violence in your own life. Thanks.